Welcome to the Iron Table, where iron sharpens iron, so should men sharpen men. I am your host, Bryant, and I'm joined by my brothers Keith, Danny, and Steve. We're your waiters, serving you accountability and truth. We now bring you to our program, already in progress. Welcome to the Iron Table. Iron sharpens iron, so should men sharpen men. Today is a special day. Not only are we recording in Black History Month, but we're showing just the different elements of Black men throughout the beginning of time. Got cool black guy, winter black guy, black guy, and light brown black guy. But seriously, it's the Iron Table where iron sharpens iron, so should men sharpen men. Little housekeeping things. We've got to give thanks where thanks is due. And of course, the Iron Table doesn't own the rights to any of the music used during this segment. Yet we appreciate the talents and crafts of musicians and only use the music to honor their gifts. So today, we're going to keep this light and fresh. As you see, we're serious today because this is a serious topic.
Ever serious.
Yeah, we're always serious, but today we're extra serious because we got our thinking caps on. And what is that you have on, Steve? That's that January 6th edition.
It's the end of the, this is the end of the world hat. You know, when it's negative. Yeah, there you go. There you go. I'm sweating right now.
Apocalyptic Arctic cold. Those are they're hot.
That's a place Black people don't go to. Arctic cold. Hey, you never know. At least you'll be prepared. As always, we got Keith,
sir,
with the nice hair. That's that thick 70s
protest. This is protest hair. This is walking with Martin hair. This is hiding with Malcolm hair. This is that good hair. This is that Jackson 5 shwap hair.
Power to the people.
Here.
Power to the people.
Hair.
And as always, we've got El DeBarge.
So close. What's going on, fellas?
Yeah, it's good to see you guys. It's been a minute since we've had a chance to sit and talk. Before we get into, I just got 3 questions for us today. Any updates? What's been going on for you since? I think it's been probably been about a month since we had a chance to meet. I'll start. Family had COVID. I was dodging it like Neo. The missus caught it, then the young guy caught it, the clone. But thankfully, everyone is okay. It was a mild case. They got the medicine that they needed, and we were able to quarantine and remain safe throughout. It was like a 2-week period. It was like back to back. I was like, man, I said nobody wants me to have any rest. I'm sitting there spraying everything, basically like Soul Glow, just spraying doorknobs and all types. Who is he talking to?
I'm talking to you. I'm glad you had the opportunity to step up and take care of your family. Black man.
Have some technical difficulties. Must have AT&T.
You can't hear me still.
No, we can hear you. I don't know if you're breaking down on my end. I'm running like 5 different programs at the same time. I was not prepared.
Yeah. No, I was just saying
that's me.
That sounded like a very complicated 2 weeks.
Oh, it was. It was. At first, it was trying to keep him away from his mama, and then trying to keep his mama away from him. It's like they just wanted to just pass it back and forth.
That's where you messed up. You let him.
Unfortunately, his grandma got it. So, because she had picked him up, so she had pictures hugging all up on him. But I was like, you know who the super spreader is, your grandson. Other than that, things have been cool. Work as usual. Thankful to be here. All right. No particular order.
It's Black History Month.
Yes, sir.
We black, even if we yellow. Black.
Every day.
And, yeah, Usher did the Super Bowl. He didn't have no Jerry curl, but
that's still the blackest Super Bowl I've ever seen.
it was pretty black.
It was roller skating.
They did have have some.
He brought Atlanta to Vegas, as they say.
He did actually bring Atlanta to Vegas, though. I must give my man that he brought Atlanta to Vegas. And
do you think his?
What'd you say?
Do you think his Super Bowl halftime show was better than Michael? Like Michael was.
Wait. What?
Yeah, I don't. Let's just end this now.
Don't make me take the glasses off.
I'm just asking. I'm just asking. You know, it's I gotta ask what the people are asking for. You know, was this one better? Was it on the same level as Michael?
Was that the Super Bowl where Michael just stood there and just stood
for like 5 minutes?
Yeah,
and people were just falling out.
All he had to do. All he had to do was just stand there. He did was stand there. That just shows you right there. He just stood there for 10 minutes.
He stood in one spot longer than Usher was on stage. That was just him just standing there.
There you go. There's your answer.
And everybody loved it. He just stood there.
Not a single note. Just look with the sunglasses on, and then I think at one point he changed positions. Like at the 5 minute mark, he changed positions.
Yeah, then he do like a little pop.
Yep, he does it. Woo! He moved. Ow!
Yeah.
All right, was it better than Janet's?
No.
Well,
okay, all right.
It wasn't Janet, it was Justin's.
Nah, it would always be Janet. Justin was just a means to an end.
It was Janice for me.
You know, I didn't even see the halftime show. I just kept hearing about it. I was like,
yeah.
There's no video footage available, I guess. Maybe on the black web or something like that.
It's not on YouTube.
Out to the people.
It's out there.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it must be on special YouTube. Like if you take off the child protective.
Yeah, my kids grown. We took the filters off. We took them off.
They these kids at a certain age, they don't do no good no way. These little pirates know how to get around so much of this stuff. I mean, I tried. We still gotta try, but as you know, as protectors of the home, you still gotta do something. But these kids, these little
know how to block us from getting to it. That's
right. It almost becomes what prescription med caps become for old people, where it's for the kids, but now the seniors with the arthritis can't get to their meds because the cap is on too tight.
That's actually facts, though.
And then they're asking the kids to open it up. Open it for me.
Open it. So that's what's the password for the filter? I know you know it. Give it to me. I can't. I lock myself out.
All right, Dan. So you were talking about the Super Bowl, Usher. And
you know what I want to ask, Brian? I don't know if I'm out of line, but like the Black National Anthem, do y'all think it should be sung during the Super Bowl?
No, because she got booed. And the lady can sing. She's a sweetheart, but she got booed.
Did she got booed because of the song or because of how she sang it? I mean, was she off key? I didn't watch it at all. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I didn't watch any commercials. I
saw the second half. And so I saw halftime in the second half. That's what I saw. But just in general, regardless if somebody did a good job or not, do you think that it's appropriate to have everybody celebrating with what is now known as the Black National Anthem at the Super Bowl? If you were a white person, how would you feel about that? If you were Hispanic, if you were Chinese, do you think it's cool? I mean, they built this nation.
You know what?
Or you like,
I'll dive into this one because I feel two ways about it. I feel like it really doesn't have to be sung at these events because it's a sporting event and it's not necessarily something where it necessarily fits in per se. But I do feel like the NFL, after the whole Kaepernick situation, they needed a way to appeal to the black fan base, and it's in February, so it was probably recommended, hey, before the national anthem, let's sing the Black National Anthem. And, you know, from reading comments on social media, there are a lot of people who are not a fan of it. I feel like they feel it divides more than it brings together. But I think that part of that is the ignorance of why it's sung. I feel like this: if we go to the Olympics and there are other countries that play their national anthem and we don't complain, then then sometimes we need to shut up and just not complain. The song is 3 minutes, and you can sit just like you expect us to kneel or not kneel. You expect most of us to participate when the national anthem is being played. You want everybody to be patriotic and stand up and, you know, do whatever we're gonna do. We're not asking you to even stand up. We just asking you not to be rude, not to boo.
Oh, we got a response from up north.
Talk to us, Steve.
So actually just a question. So are we saying that the national anthem is the white national anthem?
That's a really good question.
Now, I think originally when it was written, it wasn't written to be used as a Black national anthem. It was more of like a rally cry to, you know, to bring awareness to injustice and to, you know, invigorate people to fight for, you know, social and, you know, civil justice. But I don't think the writer intended for it to be the national anthem that represented.
There's a third verse that's never sung that answers that. There's a reason why the third verse is never sung.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Black national. You talking about the national anthem, because I heard Black national anthem.
The national. No, I say is the national anthem.
Can you see?
Is that the white national anthem? Because if we have a Black national anthem, what's the white national anthem? Is it the national anthem?
Well, to be fair, I was going to say it's not technically when the writer of Lift Every Voice and Sing wrote it. It don't say nothing about Africa in it. If you analyze the song, it's actually a song that can apply to any oppressed people in any nation, any land, you know, in any time period. And so I think that somebody grabbed hold of it and said, this is going to be our national anthem. But I don't know if when he wrote it, he was like, okay, yeah, there you go. Now y'all sing it, you know, and stand up. But it's a masterpiece of just literary genius that ended up being adopted as, but I don't know that it was intentionally created as such. And so I'll say the same thing about, I don't know. What do y'all think? Is "Oh Say Can You See" by the Dawn's Early Light, is that the
first verse? Yeah, that's cool. But as we know, when you get to, you know, the third verse, that's when it gets, oh, that's what was said.
Yeah, and it's still there.
Oh, it's not going. We just don't sing it.
So I guess what Steve is saying is that the national anthem for all Americans or just white Americans?
It's intended. I would say it's intended for all Americans, but I think we accept it, but not necessarily always adopt it. We recognize that this is the country where we live. Because I think, again, what I think some people, non-minorities, do not understand is that there are two Americas. They want to believe that there's just many people want to believe because they want it to be one America. We want us to be under one roof. And unfortunately, based on what has happened and continues to happen, there are other divisive things in this country, down to religion and politics, classism. I mean, there's so much stuff that divides us as people that race is not the only thing. But when it comes to race, we're still very divided as a country.
So that brings me back to, okay, must we have it at the Super Bowl? Like if it's something that's going to divide and cause people to start booing and cause people to just like, is it worth it? Is it like, are we doing it anyway? Or it's like, you know what? We'll do that when we do our thing. But great question, Steve.
I will say go ahead. B.
Well, I will say that the first verse is meant to be patriotic. You know, if you think about it, it's patriotic. It's like any song. If there's certain parts that a soprano will sing, certain parts that a tenor, that a bass, that an alto will sing. When it's not your time to sing, don't sing it. I was gonna say, like, so I looked at the first verse as, you know, kind of a patriotic, bring us together, U.S. versus everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Do I necessarily need it sung at that game? I don't think it's really. I don't think so, but
What does it
frankly, I
mean
don't
to be
care.
patriotic? What does it mean to be patriotic, though? What does that mean?
I ain't willing to fight for your country. You know, have a sense of pride from where you are from. Because I mean, we're from America. We reside in America. I mean, we can't go back to Africa and like, oh, hey, you know,
So when
we're
you
kind of
sing
caught in
true
the
to
middle.
our God, true to our native land, what land you talking about, B?
Man, I'm American. I'm African American, but I kind of understand more of America than I do Africa. And it's not my fault. It's just where I was born, where I reside, spend most of my time. Will I one day go to Africa? Maybe. Maybe if the funds are right or the opportunity presents itself and we go out there and maybe I'll have, I think what Steve Harvey said in one of his comedy specials, you know, you go in some place where it feels like home, yet you've never been there. You know, maybe I might feel that, but I mean, I'm from Maryland, born in DC.
Steve keeps talking about Japan. Now I gotta go because he said how wonderful it felt in Japan. So
Yeah.
And but see, I'm glad that you said that, Keith, because and I'm asking these questions about what does it mean to be patriotic and doing all these things, and we're talking about things that a country that is very decisive, very divided, very red and blue, and it seems as if like nothing is really getting done. And if you look at certain things, that it's almost hate to the point to where you'll see certain I don't know, was it the Senate or something like that? Something was going on where you have a certain point in time where you have one side is the Democrats, one side is the Republicans, and when somebody says something, I think it was Joe Biden, somebody was saying something, one side would clap, but the other side would just not saying anything at all. And it's like what this person is saying is correct, but we're so divided that we're willing to not clap and applaud to things that we know was right just because that's the opposing team. So again, that goes back to what does it mean to be patriotic? Is it that we're being patriotic to something that really needs to be revised? Because we've all lost sense of what it really means to be a country. And my experience in Japan was kind of scary. When I say scary, it let me know how somebody told me that the symbol of their flag is togetherness, and everybody else on the outside. So it's the red dot and everything white on the outside. Everybody's on the outside, and we are to center. We're together.
Wow.
When a country like that is together, so much is that you cannot divide them, and they see a country like us that's very divisive. What do you think that's going to lead? We can't be the superpower forever, and
We're not going to be a superpower forever.
It's going to come from within. So again, to talk about being patriotic, talking about fighting for your country, a lot of people have that thought, that sentiment is like, why would I want to fight for this country when this country can't get anything done? There's certain things in certain states that it's appalling that these things exist in the United States of America. And there's a street called Kensington Street, somewhere in, I think, Pennsylvania. You would think that this is under a third world country, the way that this particular street looks, the way things are going on, it's you would never think that this is America, but this happens in our country that we are so patriotic for. We're willing to fight for other things. We're willing to fight for other countries, other nations. We're not even fighting for the things that people need in our own country. So again, when we're talking about wanting to fight for our country, wanting to be patriotic, it's sometimes you have people looking at certain things and just saying, but we're not right here. We're not right here. Why is it that we are celebrating something that's just not right? Even Black History Month. Let's take it back to us. We still got to be. We're still in the books to be able to vote. How many years is it?
25.
Every 25 years, we on the books to be able to, and it's like, we okay with that? So at a certain point in time, it's like, why can't we make this permanent? Why do we have to vote on this every 25 years? But it's things like that. It's like,
Well, that's because people don't know.
I think
people don't know. It's not it's definitely not taught in the schools, but it's also forgotten at home. You know, what everyone used to fight for is now become, I guess, common here. Remember the struggles that our parents had to go through, their parents had to struggle even more, and their parents' parents had to struggle even more. Now our children don't have to struggle as much because we've achieved to a level that we don't pass on, you know, those stories of, you know, the water hoses, the dogs, the needing of affirmative action, the fact that you can have a degree, but your white counterpart may have less of that, and they still get hired because of their skin or because of, or the only way that our country could really be even is if we both started at neutral, at even an even playing field. But we know that that's not going to happen. We know that, you know, that 40 acres and a mule is probably worth a lot more than what it did back then, but they're not going to retroactively or give it back to us or give us what that value is. There is a reason that there are the haves, the have-nots, and the in-betweens. So that is this country was started because they got labor that did not cost them. They didn't originate. Other cultures, everyone brought something in. They brought a certain group of people in, Black people, and they used that resource to build their wealth. Because they used to have indentured servants before then. And I mean, indentured servants means you got to pay them something, or after they've paid their debt, they're free to go. Yeah. So the only way to continue to make money hand over fist is to bring in people that you're not going to pay, that you're going to use religion, use, you know, fear, use advanced technology at that time, confusion, you know, taking them from different tribes and they had different languages and separating them, you know, beating them physically, mentally, emotionally, so that they can never come together to realize that if there's just the slave owner, his wife, his kids, 4 or 5 people versus 30, that those 30 don't believe that they could overtake those 4 or 5. So that's the country that established, which is why there's deep-seated hate, division, and there's always going to be that division because this is how it was built. It was built on division.
Yeah, I think that's right. Go ahead, Keith. What you gonna say?
I was gonna say, sorry, I was gonna say, dang it. It left.
Let me just say this one thing. Since we're talking about Black History Month, in 2016, I was a missionary overseas in the middle of the South Pacific, and on the last day of February, I just had an epiphany. I'm watching on my social media timeline, everybody just head over heels, just on racial tensions, and I'm sitting here in this foreign country, running a school for English language learners, and it hit me. It's like, oh snap, I'm not Black. For the first time in my life, I realized I wasn't Black. No one in that country looked at me as though I was Black. They weren't eyeballing me when I walked in the store. They weren't pulling me over when I was driving down the street in my car. They weren't you know, indifferent to me when they found out that I was the administrator of the school. They saw me as American. They didn't see me as Black. I had no clue how much of a heavy weight I was carrying until it was off my neck. And I was like, man, I didn't know what to do with myself. And so then when like you talk about Steve and these other countries, I have some friends who are like, I'm not bringing my Black sons to this country because I know what it's like to just live under that yoke of oppression. And you constantly worried about whether or not they're going to make it home alive. And so this is real. And so I'm grateful for the experience. I think that we do live in a very opportune time where we have access to resources and knowledge, but it is a clear and unmistakable fact and reality that we are still very divided, which is why I brought up the question in the first place. Why should we have that song, which is just going to divide? It's just going to pour fuel on the fire for them to get even more agitated, even more. And it's just like, is it worth it?
Yes, I'm gonna be the I don't want to say the devil's advocate, but I'm gonna be the advocate for why this song needs to be played at every so often. I'm not saying it has to be at every Super Bowl. I'm not saying it has to be at every performance, or if you go to Black church, it's gonna be there every week during February. But so you're gonna have to accept it there. But the reason why it should be played is because we have an opportunity, if we decide to pick and choose parts of our culture that we want to put out. So much of our culture is chosen and cherry picked, not by us.
True.
We see a lot of entertainers who we don't co-sign what they do. We're not in support of what they do, but because other people do it, they end up representing us as a people.
Mm-hmm.
Songs like this aren't hurting anybody. Like you said, this song could be for any group of people in any oppressed situation anywhere in the world at any time. So I know you don't like it, but if we as a people said this is what we want to represent us, it's not hurting you it's not, we're not condemning you. We're not trying to evoke white guilt or shame. We want to celebrate the unity of our people with a 3-minute song.
No, Keith, don't say that. Don't say that. No, because I'm gonna be the devil's advocate on your part.
Go ahead, come for me.
The unity, and so I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna answer your question, Danny. No, because at a certain point in time, here's the thing. I want to ask you guys this question too. How did we get our civil rights as Black people? What was the defining thing that really kind of got us our rights as Black people in the United States?
Emmett Till.
I'm sorry, say what?
You said one thing?
Emmett Till's death. Like that was a catalyst to see how brutal. I mean, once it got out, people saw how brutal white hate was towards Black people. That they would do this to a little boy.
I was gonna say just the media. The media at large. It was embarrassing for a nation that would have in its founding documents that all men are created equal, to watching them get shot with water hoses and bit by dogs and hot coffee poured on them. It was literally a PR campaign. They had to go and do damage control. It's like, okay, yeah, I guess we do need to because if there was no media, I don't think there would have been a civil rights movement. That's just me.
No, that's true.
So here it is. I don't think that it was our singing. I don't think it was our marching. I don't think it was even the media. When we start hitting their pockets.
Yes.
The boycotts.
The boycott. They don't care how much we sing or how much they don't. Oh, that's what we can do whatever we gonna do. They'll go ahead and sing. They'll go ahead and march. They'll hold a visual. It is what it is. We'll be back to normal. They'll be back to spending their money because we're very big consumers. But when we hit that pocket, guess what? All right, hold on now. Hold on. Okay, here's some rights. Here's some things.
The NFL strike did do that. And that's why, they're intentionally. I'm sorry,
exactly. Go ahead. So going back to what you said, Keith, that's why I feel that I heard somebody say, I think we were at a NAACP, the big thing they do in downtown Detroit, and whatnot, every year. And I heard one of the speakers say, we need the young people to step up to continue the struggle. I don't want to struggle. Because what's been going on so far hasn't really worked. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that, and this is the reason why I say even with the national anthem, it's for the Black National Anthem for us is good, and we're talking about unity. I'm tired of hearing us trying to appeal to others people to say, hey, recognize us. We're human beings. We're this, we're that. Why, when we don't treat ourselves, when we don't have that unity ourselves, how can we expect them to treat us not like animals when we're acting like animals?
He preaching
I'll
now.
be honest with you. And this is I almost said it here, but I had to bring it back. You know what? I don't know how old was she? 15 or 16? A 16-year-old girl She's on life support right now, but I think they just took her off the life support. There's a group of there's a house in Detroit. About 20 people were in it. Car comes by, 2 people get out, and they fire off 20 to 40 rounds into the house. Guess who gets shot? Guess who gets hit? Guess who gets hit? Nobody in that house except for that little girl and gets shot in the head. And she probably died today, right? And we're talking about unity. These things happen, and there's no outcry about, hey, us as a community, we got to do better. But we're still trying to appease to everybody else and just say, hey, recognize us, recognize us. Why should they when we treat ourselves like animals? Like animals. This is.
I mean, we were bred. I'll say it. We were bred to do that.
We know better though. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. When you said something about it takes education to know certain things that are going on and certain things and whatnot. Here's the thing. They don't hide nothing now. They do everything in plain sight.
Yeah.
What happens? Go back and look at when they did the voting for us to, every 25 years. Go back and see what the biggest controversy was back then, right? And I say that to say everybody's even fast forward thinking about now, the Cat Williams thing. Everybody's focused on this. That's because they're doing something over here in plain sight. They have channels where they have people. They have channels where everybody's like they're passing these bills. They're passing these laws. They're not. You can see this. They're not hiding it. They're doing it in plain sight. But because we're so focused over here on this nonsense and being further splintered and divided, that we don't recognize what they're doing. So we fail to educate ourselves when they're telling us what we're gonna do, what they're gonna do, and what they're gonna continue to do.
But if you've but I mean, you're talking about a people, our people, that for majority have been told that you're not worth anything, you can't be anything, you won't be anything. You've taken resources away. When I can do a whole thing on welfare and how they stripped fathers from the home and basically told them, it's your child will be better taken care of if you're not there. And the mothers believing that and not wanting the father because of money. When you don't have money to feed, to clothe, it turns a person into trying to survive. And so a lot of Black people have been trying to survive, and to survive, morality kind of goes out the window in order to survive. Well, and it's just been something that's been perpetually taught when there are certain people, unfortunately, that are still on social supports, that are struggling in schools, so schools don't have the necessary resources. There's so many reasons and factors that are added into the reason why we as a people cannot unite on a positive thing, but we can unite on something that is, what they say, coonery, buffoonery.
Yeah. On some WAP.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah. I think going back to what Steve originally said about, resources and like it is when the resources are impacted, the money makes the world go round, at least here in America. Capitalism is all about the almighty dollar. And it's not so mighty anymore because they just printing money. They just printing more. But they going to make sure that you pay yours and we'll just print some more for the rest. And so it is what it is.
And then they tell you that they can't do that because if they just print more money, it's come on now.
That's all they doing is print money.
They make the money. Come on.
Yeah, but going back to like you brought up the money thing, 381 days that Montgomery bus boycott was. Like we forget, we think it was something we read in the history book. It's a paragraph. No, for 381 days, people walked to work. For 381 days, they were like 300. That's over a year. That's winter, spring, summer, fall. 381 days to the point where they had to. And even since it's Black History Month, we have Rosewood, we have Tulsa. Why is it that they were so just why is it they made laws to prevent us from reading? Why did they have to make it a law? Because that if these people actually become educated, actually become self-sufficient, that they're going to be able to wake up and say, hey, why are we taking this? That don't make no sense. But at the same time, I don't think that it's always a black and white thing, because the Underground Railroad wouldn't have existed without some really good white people.
True.
And there's a lot of people who died in an effort and an attempt to free us. But we've got to get to the point where we stop all the division, where we stop all of the, pointing the finger, this one, that one, because at the end of the day, it don't mean a hill of beans. And here's what I mean by that. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, we know that the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Correct. So all division is coming from one place. Whether you pro-life today and you pro-choice tomorrow, or COVID comes and you switch and you pro-choice today and you pro-life tomorrow, all division is from the enemy. Yeah. And so we got to wake up and see that we're being bamboozled. And
do we want to wake up?
Yeah, well,
so that's the thing. Does it mean that we all need to wake up, or that those that wake up those that wake up maybe move in a different light? And it sounds like move in a light that affects pockets. So do we all need to be there, or does it need to be just strong, influential people to do it?
I think that we all need, and here's the thing. Can you guys imagine if the black players in the NFL, black players in the NBA,
come on,
and black players in Major League Baseball, right? Am I missing something? No, I'm not missing anything.
Hockey.
Could you imagine?
We got something. We got something. Hockey.
Could you imagine? Okay, you know what? Let's take baseball out the picture. Basketball and football. Could you imagine for, let's say, 2 years, that all black players said, we're not playing? Oh, that's what it was. And take NBA, NFL, college basketball, and college football. If they said we are not playing at all, what do you think would happen? What do you think would happen?
I don't think it would happen. You want to know why? Because there are some that make more money than others. And if it's about money, yeah, you got your upper tier NFL and NBA basketball players, but those regular guys that, while they're still making $1 million, it's not $1 million. They got to pay their agent, they got to pay taxes, they got to help their mama, baby mama, the cousins, whoever comes out. So can that person afford to not maintain
Listen, this is the same conversation they had with the bus boycott, where they told people, I know you need to catch the bus, but you're not catching the bus now.
And here's the thing. For those who are the Steph Currys or the LeBron James, who have so much, because this is so important to us to be as of one mind, I'm going to help those that are not the LeBron James, that are not, because I can afford to, because now this is bigger than me. This is about us.
So if they were willing to do that, why haven't they done that?
It goes back to what Danny said. This is also some there's spiritual references to this. Why we at a certain there's some division in that why we are not of one mind. Because if that was to happen, do you understand this economy would stop?
Yeah.
Just on that right there. If they just said, you know what, we not playing no more. Forget these contracts, forget everything. And they did it for 2 years. Could you imagine the money that'd be? We're talking trillions of dollars.
He said 2 years.
This country only makes laws when we move. For instance, with the Black Panther Party, the only time gun laws were ever passed in this country was when we got together with our afros and got some guns.
What about our hats?
I think we had some Jerry curls too.
Yes, some Jerry curls. But my point is, they passed laws to say, hey, we can't. This is not allowed. Flag on the play. we can't do this. There's a reason why there's, as Danny alluded to, coming together. It's scary because it's in I can't remember the book. the title of the book, but a lot of people living in the late 1800s, or actually pre-slavery, the abolishment of slavery, and like right after, there was a fear, and it still is. If we get our act together, the world is going to shift. This country will shift quickly, and good and bad ways. But there's some truth to that. But we have to do what we need to do to first come together, just individually on a community basis. Like you said, I don't look for leaders to lead us to a place per se. Now, we do need to organize, and we do have to have leads that help us balance. But the reality is that we see what happens to our leaders. Many of us are afraid to lead because we don't want to die. And then we've seen, actually, now that FBI records and all these other records have been released, we've seen where plants have been put into place to derail movements. So now a lot of people aren't trusting of people who come in to lead, whether they are intentional or unintentional. So we're all jacked up and in need of help. But again, I go back to saying, we know what we don't like as a culture. We need to first deal with it in-house and clear out some of this mess we call entertainment or called teaching. Even the books in school. I saw something online where they had to they sent home permission slip saying your kids will be reading a black book, and the parents had to sign off on it that they were okay. Like, there's a reason why we have to deal with race. I don't want to pretend like we don't have race issues in this country. So this is a multi-layered conversation with so many pages and so many unpacked boxes that, again, I don't know what we can do with it. But should I still say the song can be sung every once in a while, and it ain't gonna hurt nobody?
Well, I'll say this, in Martin Luther King's letter to the Birmingham jail, I don't know if you've ever read it, but it's long. It's long. You could tell he was bored.
Right.
That thing is long, but it's one of the best. It is.
But nobody really talks about it as much as I Have a Dream.
I Have a Dream was sexy.
It's safe. It's safe.
It is safe.
You answered one of his questions, Keith. You answered his questions. Why he asked, why is it that nobody wants to do it or whatnot? Because we soft now. Nobody's willing to die. Nobody's willing to die for this. We soft now. We soft
because it's death. I mean, it's
right.
Not coming back.
Right. Yeah, that is. But again, think about it though. But think about it though. In the 50s and 60s,
they didn't want to die. I'm gonna tell you that now. They did not want to die.
I don't know.
No, they were okay with it. Have you heard even what's the name? Nelson Mandela. When they was during his trial, he's just like, you know what? This is a cause for which I had hoped to live, but it's one for which I'm also prepared to die.
There you go.
And so there's men that were like that then. Yes. And now, like
what did they have to lose? But their life. They already had everything stripped for them. So losing your life was what?
I don't have a life. I don't have a life. I'm miserable. I can't
like a
find
slave
a job.
Jumping off a slave ship.
I can't take care of my family because I don't have a job. I can't buy a house. I can't buy a car. Don't have food. Like, what life am I? Like, again, it has to be better than this. So
I can't vote because I got a felony.
Right. Like, so now we have a society where we've been given a few things like MBA careers and a degree hanging on the wall. So
that's
a lot
of us 480 individuals that get that, and half of it now
is a delusion of acceptance.
It's a delusion of acceptance.
Yeah.
Because the moment they don't like you, none of it matters.
Nope. No. They can not like you. They can hate you. The moment that you don't make them money, that's when you can kick them.
Yeah, all right, so I'm gonna post this question. Because y'all done hijacked what I really wanted to talk about. So, we not. I guess we're not talking about Jesus today. So,
it's Black History Month. Jesus was. Oh, never mind.
Thank you, DuPont Park Secretary of Adventist School.
No, but look at the question at the bottom. I mean, because we're talking about change, we're talking about unity, moving the needle. I mean, what can we as Black people do now to stimulate meaningful change? Not just change, but meaningful change. It doesn't mean that we're going to see it in our lifetime. It doesn't, I would like to see it in my lifetime. I would like to, in order to know that, you know, what I did something. But what can we do?
I'll say this. One of the things that Martin Luther King did, and many others, is he sat and had civil dialogue and conversation with people who adamantly disagreed with him. And in his non-violent way of sitting down and having discourse with people, he the conversations that he had, and you know who else was really good at this? Malcolm X was good at it. Muhammad Ali was really good at it as well. He would sit down. I don't know if you've seen some of these interviews where Muhammad Ali is talking to these guys.
Not holding back.
He's not holding back at all. He's giving them a spin and a perspective that's just like, yeah, what you gonna say about that? And it's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit over here and be quiet. Because and I think that our society has gotten to the point where we have zero tolerance. We can't even in a presidential debate have civil discourse. Yeah. Much less in have a real dialogue about race in this country and what still exists. There's still racial divisions everywhere that you look. Even in our church denomination, it's just like white church, black church. And it's like, really? So I think that a part of it is being able to sit down and have dialogue and discussion with people who we disagree with, and being willing to stand up to the point where we'll lose everything for what we believe in. Because nowadays, you don't have people who are willing to do that. Everybody's looking out for numero uno. And as long as that's the case, we're not going to have any more million man marches. We're not going to have any more I Have a Dream speech, because everybody's just worried about the bag that they can get for their own family. And the collective mind that we used to have, that's a thing of yesterday. I don't know that we get it back. That's just me.
It's intentional, because we can control you better if we give you we can give you scraps from the table. We can give you a few little things, because again, with your grandparents, we took everything, and that didn't work, because that just made them angrier. Like, that led to boycotts, that led to them hurting our pockets, that led to riots and protests. Now, like I said, we give you a false sense of inclusion in some cases. And that doesn't just apply to black people. Again, this is everybody. This is bigger than race. This is the enemy. I'm gonna give you a false sense of inclusion. Look at all the lies the devil told Eve before she ate from the tree. It was a false sense of inclusion. You eat this, you're gonna be good. You're gonna know much. You're gonna know more than God know. And I think we're being fed the same lie, just in a different format and in a different way to further splinter us, like you guys said. It just further splinters what is already splintered.
Steve, what were you gonna say? You were about to talk.
Yeah, Steve is chomping at the bit.
You're not gonna like my answer, man. To this,
we gotta
die, Steve. We gotta die.
You switching over to Apple? That's the only answer I'm not gonna like.
The Thanos snap. But no, real talk. I don't think that it's possible at this point. We as a nation are turning into Sodom and Gomorrah, to where nobody in the Bible could change Sodom and Gomorrah, and God had to just level it. So somewhere on earth, Sodom and Gomorrah was, and it's rebuilt. There's something else new on it, and it's changed at that point in time. But it's no longer Sodom and Gomorrah. We are going to we're too far gone, I think, at this point to effect some change, and it has a lot to do with how we are ingesting our media technology, being able to get all things at the speed of light in the palm of your hand, and the fact that our opinions, everybody not only has an opinion, but it's celebrated that we disagree beyond reason. That's what it is. You have a lot of people disagreeing beyond reason for the sake of just disagreeing. because I don't like you, or your view is different from mine. So therefore, there's nothing that you can say. Even if you were Jesus Christ, even if you said that, I know people that would argue with Jesus Christ. If he as they did in the Bible.
Yeah.
Think it's beyond. I feel like it's beyond repair at this point. And again, sometimes you gotta just hey, God, do your thing.
So if it's beyond repair, is there really any reason to do anything?
That is a very good question. And that I don't know. That I don't know.
I think
I mean,
I have my mic muted.
Referencing back.
Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, referencing back to what that lady said at that NAACP thing. We need young people to keep up the struggle. What are we doing? So it's if I'm damned if I'm damned if I don't. Because if we keep up the struggle, no results. If I don't do anything at all, no results. Something's not right. At that certain point in time, there has to be some divine interventions. Because things are just so, it's just so bad. Not just the actions that are going on, but the Americans' thought process right now about towards each other is just so bad. I'm not talking about black or white at all. Mm-hmm. Just how we treat each other. And that's why it was such a shock to go over to Japan and see how collective they were.
Respectful.
We better hope. We better hope.
But is that I mean, thinking about Japan versus Japan versus US, I mean, Japan, that's all one culture. Here, and this is, I mean, talking about the Bible, this is the only nation that, came out of the land. We're talking about Daniel, arose from the ground where everyone else came from, like the sea, which meant a lot of people. So here it started out small. They brought in different cultures. They brought in, brought in black people, started that hate, started the division in order for one to succeed and the other one to go down. Of course, every other place you go to is going to, that does not have the stain, the stench of slavery is going to look better than where we are from.
But think about what they did, what they do to us as kids, I won't even say brainwash us, but to indoctrinate us into this way of life in school every day. We said the Pledge of Allegiance, and a part of that Pledge of Allegiance, it said, one nation under God, indivisible.
It wasn't written for us to say it. I mean, let's be honest. If we weren't supposed to read, it was not originally meant for us to say it.
But what's the point behind that, though?
Right.
What's the point behind having somebody recite that have a child recite that every single day? What would be the point of that?
Oh, that's to, whatever pride or self-worth that I might have in myself that was of my culture is slowly, just like each day, just a small of it just going down. And then that, as we talked about, patriotism comes up. So identity and culture is down here, but patriotism is up here. So now going back to the patriotism, that's where we are.
Patriotism.
So do you think people in Japan are patriotic for their country?
Yeah, because there was no division. There was no, it wasn't built on slavery, to my knowledge.
No, we are definitely built on division. And
we thrive on division.
So we thought, no, that's how money's made. That's how money
exactly. It's marketing, it's messaging, it's the whole 9 yards. You have to have division, or you're not able to accomplish whatever it is that you want to accomplish.
It's just about that. Think about the fans that hate the other fans that don't know each other. You got on a green jersey, I got on a blue one, and I hate you. I don't know you.
To crack
be the best person in the world, but I hate you.
I want to bust your head to jail and crack your head because my team is better than your team, and we're not even in the stadium. People have lost their life over these debates. People have lost their lives.
I see some of these arguments online. They get really personal, as though they are talking about their blood relatives who they've lived with, and like, this is family to me. How dare you talk about my Chicago Bulls from 1997? That is my favorite team.
But you know, even that, it takes a person away from their reality.
Absolutely.
And because their reality.
I said this. I've said this though again because we have no victory. We're not experiencing those victories in our own life. We're experiencing those fake victories, and there's some energy being transferred with that, man. It's sinister, to be honest with you. We talking again, going back to now, we're talking about, Christianity. We're talking about the Most High. All this, man, it's demonic forces at part. And see, here's the thing: a lot of people don't like to talk about. We talk about, hey, really do this and do that, and unity, this, that, and the third. There's an important piece to this, and we're forgetting about the spiritual aspect of what's going on. We talk about war with other countries. There's a war between good and evil all the time that nobody's talking about. But we one nation under God, right? But nobody wants to talk about God.
Make sure you say in division.
Indivisible.
No, in division.
Oh, in division. One nation under God in division. Yeah. You ain't lying.
In division.
You ain't lying.
Yeah, liberty and justice for all.
I heard somebody say, don't vote for the Green Party, because that'd be just a waste of time. Because you're wasting the votes. Because you're taking votes away from them. So whatever would just help that other person lose, let's just do that. So we're willing to just suicide for the sake of that other person lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So okay. All right.
I gotta believe though, guys. I gotta believe that even while it is unfavorable, that we can still make a difference. That we can still be a committee of one. Mm-hmm. And make our little corner of the universe a little bit better than it was before we got here. Because at the end of the day, each one of us has to give a report. And I want to hear well done. I want to know that the influence that I have, even if it isn't on a global scale, what did I do with it? What was I able to reach the young man who was, trapped in this cycle of gang violence? Was I able to educate a young sister? Was I able to give a scholarship to? Was I able to have a conversation with somebody who doesn't look like me? I had right in the middle of COVID. Everybody was so bored, they started taking down these Confederate monuments, and I'm sitting down there in Ron DeSantis, Florida. And there's this lady who was at one of the Confederate monuments that they were getting ready to take down. And we just started having a conversation. And we had very different views. But for the first time, she heard somebody's view who doesn't look like her, because it was just civil discourse. It was so refreshing to her and to myself to be able to have just a conversation and to be able to see and understand that we're not that different after all. You know what? At the end of the day, we all just trying to make it. And if I feel threatened by you, that's evidence of my own insecurity. And we all have growing to do. And if we take advantage of the opportunities that we have, coming together will produce much more fruit than trying to be separate and hating on somebody because they got on a green jersey and I got on a red one.
So one of the things that, and I'm glad you gave that anecdote, that story. Because what I think in order to really affect change is we got to stop looking at on a macro level and go to the micro. Use that influence that you have. There's a quote, and I'm probably going to butcher it up, but it says that even the light of the tiniest flame is more powerful than the darkness around it. So we all have influence somewhere. And granted, we got influence in different places. So if we just reach one person, that one person might reach someone else. It might change their trajectory. And I think that's when the movement really started, when people started talking, individually, coming in like, hey, this ain't right. What can we do? Well, I can do this. Okay, good. You got that. I can do this. and it was like a ripple effect. That one tiny stone, if you toss it into that lake, it's going to make a ripple. It may not go to the other side, but at least it still is able to move water. It moves more water than the size of that stone. So I think if we as an individual, let's start at the individual level, realize the power that we have, the influence that we have. One person can affect change in one other person, and that's monumental. And I think we lost sight of that by media, by, maybe looking at, yeah, you got Martin and Malcolm and, but they started small. They had to talk to one person in order for that one person to believe that they were good enough to be in front of a group of people. Mm-hmm. So we got to stop trying to get to the, worry about crossing that goal line when it's really a game of inches. If we want to talk about a football reference, a game of inches.
I want to say this too, because I think that a part of this too, me stopping being a pessimist. I think that a part of this, and I was just gonna, I'm gonna tell you guys about this in a second. That part of this is going to be us being able to give other people accolades for the good things that they're doing.
True.
Just being able to say, you know what, good job. But I want to go, and I want to let you guys know we're doing something right. Because
see, look, the enemy's trying to stop. I can't even hear what Steve is saying.
Yeah, Steve, I think that
you gotta lean forward.
Yeah, or is it the mic on your earphone? Get some ears.
Can you hear me good now?
Yeah, a lot better. There we go.
You had to,
pin it up.
So while you was talking, while you were talking, comment or whether it was a meteor flew through the sky.
Uh-oh.
No, same thing. You
cut out.
Lean a little to your right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
See, look, you hear him better now.
There you
go. Okay.
You look like you got a gray afro.
There you go. So I want to say as we're talking right now, a meteor, comet, whatever it is, just flew through the sky and lit up the entire sky. I got like 8 windows right here looking over these acres, right? Just lit up the entire sky, right? And again, I forgot that we were recording. I almost jumped out my seat, scared the heck out of me. But sometimes those signs or whatnot from God are just saying, hey, you're doing something right now. And that goes back to giving accolades to those that you see are doing well. And I want to give you guys kudos for what you guys are doing, for what we're doing, because this is what I guess people really need. And again, having an understanding that we have a duty to do these particular things and to be able to say, hey, good job, because we don't hear that anymore. How many times do we hear from, hell, just even our friends, even our family, good job? Even though we know that you're doing a good job, it's power in telling somebody, good job, well done. So I want to give you guys that kudos, and that just kind of spoke to me about, hey, there is spiritual things at play here, but when you have your heart, not just your eyes and your ears open to hear God, definitely let it come through. You know what I mean? But that just kind of spoke to me. Just want to let you guys know, hey, keep doing what we're doing. Keep doing what you're doing.
Power to the people.
To the people.
What was that quote again, Brian, about the flame and the darkness? Get that to me again.
So it's basically like even the light from the tiniest flame is stronger than the darkness around it. That's the gist of it. And like I said, when I heard it, because I saw it on a poster, when I saw it, I was like, you know what? That's right. No matter how dark it could be, that little flame has more power than the darkness around it. And we as a people, we as men, we as just individuals who God shines upon us, who have and even the good that is in us is from God. Let's just put it out there. We are inherently bad, but that light cannot be silenced or snuffed out if we're willing to shine it. It may not get us across the, 5 miles down the street, but that's not how far we need to see. It's just the immediate area in front of us. And I think we lose sight of that because we want to see change. We want to see things on such a grand scale and forget that grand is subjective. That one individual, that one concept, we've got our children, we've got our spouses, our significant others, we've got our co-workers, we've got every person that we come in contact with is an opportunity to let this light shine. So Steve, I'm glad you gave us kudos. I gotta tell you, this is season 3 of the Iron Table, and this right here is what I envisioned it to be when I first thought about it. Having brothers come, being willing to talk about anything, everything. Yeah, I might have had a predetermined set of questions, but that wasn't what was needed today. What was needed today was a serious conversation about how to invoke change and remind individuals that you have power. You have influence. You don't have to be on Facebook, TikTok, or whatever to influence, but we have those mediums now. You can put something out there, positive content to counteract the negative content. And it's not about the number of people that look, the number of views. It's the fact that you're putting out positivity into the atmosphere. It will get carried to the individual that needs to hear it. And that individual may tell someone, they may not. But if it changes them, then you have just the same a glimpse of, I think, God's power to influence and to change.
This is good, B. I got my closing remarks. If you're ready for them, it's a quote from Harriet Tubman. I saw him at a monument in Delaware. You talking about the power that we have. We have power. We have power. We have power. Harriet Tubman, who was born a slave, this is on her monument that's in Delaware. She says these words: I had reasoned this out in my mind. There was one of two things I had a right to: liberty or death. If I could not have one, I would have the other. But it's just recognizing the power of our ability to, we have power. The power is in our ability to choose. The power is in our ability to act. The power is in our internal agency that we don't use nearly as often as we should in order to do good. Even a woman who was born a slave recognized she had power. Because most of us like, oh, she couldn't do nothing. She was a slave. She's like, no, I got power. I can do one of two things. I can sit here and have my freedom, or I can have death. And so going back to what Steve had to say a little bit earlier, where's the real men at? When are we going to rise up and be willing to lay it all on the line and stop being super hyper focused on me, myself, and I?
All right, Keith, Steve, let y'all wrap us up.
Okay. Final remarks. I also end with a quote, my favorite quote from my man, Frederick Douglass.
I thought you talking about me.
Well, yeah. Well, Trump still thinks he's alive, apparently, but that's another conversation in itself. But I use it often. It's easier to build strong boys than repair broken men. And so Black History Month is all year long. It's every month. It's not just February. It's I think part of learning about ourselves in this current or this modern era requires us to look at where we come from, look at the struggles, not repeat them. Like Steve said, the lady said, no, we don't want to live in it. We don't want to repeat it, but we do want to look at it. We want to analyze it. We want to see what can we do different to bring the change that we want to see. And what do we want to do as a culture? We have a lot of broken men. So I think the path to getting out of a lot of this decay and a lot of this mess that we're in, it comes with us as men helping other men heal. which is, and so, because again, even with the civil rights movement, it took a lot for it to be done. And yes, it hit them in the pockets, but at that time, a lot of fathers were still in the home well, the women controlled a lot of the money too, but there were a lot of men part of this organ. When you look at these videos, there were men out there with these dogs getting bit, getting hit with these hoses. A lot of our struggles now, we don't see our men fighting for anything like we used to. So, and a lot of the times I don't even fault some of them because they're broken. They're not able to fight. Many of us have been beat down and worn down to a nub. So helping restore the men in our community is definitely something that we could need to continue to do. And this week it just starts with, like y'all said, just going into somebody saying, I see what you're doing, and I'm just going to acknowledge it and celebrate it and shout you out, because I know, and it don't even have to be nothing. Hey, family, man, I see you over there taking care of your family. I've said that. What's up, Dad? And he laughed, he chuckled. I saw him with his kids, picking his kids up from school, and his kids were giving him a run for his money. But I wanted to encourage him. You doing all right. You supposed to be frustrated. This parenting thing ain't easy. But he laughed, and that kind of lightened the mood. And then he was able to handle the children differently because it took some of the stress out. But my point is this: take time to intentionally recognize people who need support. Because that's the only way we get to a place where we feel healthy and well enough to come together, to work together. So that's my closing remarks. That's all.
And our black and white brother.
Since we're going on the theme of quotes, I'm gonna take a quote from one of hip hop's most illustrious groups, De La Soul, from a song called "Mistakes Is High." One of the verses, he rhymes, "I think that smiling in public is against the law." I'm gonna just leave you guys with that quote, right? That thought process of, especially for us as black men, of smiling in public, being able to smile to your fellow man, that being the start to that conversation of good job.
Yeah.
Can we at least just smile and just say, hey? So what Keith alluded to, can we just say, hey, so that we can say good job?
Right.
Normalize of smiling it. There you go. Smiling and think about that. I think that he wrote, and this was in the 90s. I think that smiling in public is against the law. We got to change. We got to change our way of thinking, especially us as black men, because we're fighting each other. If we can't even smile to each other and tell each other good job, we can't expect nobody else to do the same.
All right.
All right, fellas, it's been real. I'm always blessed to be able to walk away from the table when you guys are there, just dropping nuggets, whole meals of truth and a perspective that needs to be heard. So until then, this has been an Iron Table, where iron sharpens iron. So should men sharpen men. And for all those brothers out there, just know that you are enough. Well, it's closing time. We are glad you stayed with us this long. The bill? Oh, we tore that up. For truth and accountability are free. You want to leave a tip? Sure, we take your money, but what's even better is if you share this with someone you know, for there's always room for more at the Iron Table.